after the long silence. Well, thank you everyone for toughing it out till 5 o'clock. I know it's sometimes tough at the end of the day, so we'll try to keep this interesting and talk about some of the automated diagnostics and an exciting new service that we have for Link and a lot of the other workloads. And so first, let me introduce myself. My name's Nick Rosenfeld. I'm a principal escalation engineer in CSS, so I'm on the support side at Microsoft. I've been doing support at Microsoft for 13 years now. Spent about 10 years debugging Exchange and fixing bugs and creating hot fixes. And in the past couple on the Link side. And my role is pretty interesting on the Link side, where I work on a variety of projects to really enable support, whether it's supporting things like the new Skype Federation, which hopefully you guys have, know all about and have tried out that we launched last week, to automated diagnostics, which is an area that we're really, really passionate about. I'll talk a little bit more about some of the reactive tools that we have towards the end of the presentation. But we also have a new service called System Center Advisor. And so it's been a great partnership with the System Center product group who develops this service, hosts this service, and is something that's available to everyone. And we'll talk about what the licensing looks like and have some good news there if you haven't heard about it. But then it takes the knowledge from CSS and from the fact that we work with customers of all sizes around the globe, and we see a lot of issues, and we know the common issues that are out there. And so the idea is to get a lot of IP and a lot of knowledge into a system so that we can proactively notify you so that you don't have to suffer or take an outage for an issue that we've already solved. So one of the things I like to start with this is how many of you have actually heard of System Center Advisor? All right, so about half the room. How many of those are, those of you that raised your hands are actually running it? All right, not many. So cool, I'll be interested to chat afterwards and hear some feedback. But the objectives for today, we want everyone to come out of here and really understand what System Center Advisor is, what's the value that it brings to your business, and understand the high-level architecture and security and any of the concerns that we normally get around that. And then we're going to talk about something that's somewhat hot off the press, was first announced at the MMS conference last month, and that's if you're running SCOM in your environment, how you can really have the best of both worlds and use Advisor as an attached service to System Center Operations Manager, which is pretty cool, and we'll demo that as well. And then we'll switch gears, and we'll spend a little bit of time talking about what are we doing, what have we been investing in on the support side the past 2, 3, maybe 4 years to really automatically detect issues and solve them very efficiently so that we don't waste time troubleshooting the same issue twice. We'll showcase some tools that were very internal until a little while ago, and that now we're at a point where we're making them available to everyone because it's not meant to be something just for support. We don't want to take that call. We want to enable you to solve the issue in the first place. And so we got some takeaways there as well. So, Advisor. You can think of Advisor as a cloud health assessment service. So there's a lightweight component that sits on the machines that you want to monitor. And this is not just Link. I know this is the UC track, and we'll focus more on Link. I'm certainly focused on the Link workload. But it's something that you can use for SharePoint, SQL, Exchange, and Windows. And we'll go into which versions specifically are supported today. But there's a really lightweight piece that installs on the machines. And the idea is that periodically, twice a day by default, we gather a lot of configuration information from the environment, and that configuration information is sent up and analyzed to a cloud service hosted by Microsoft, developed by the System Center team. This is something that has a full product group behind it, and that has knowledge from CSS and CSS engineers. And so the idea is that we can detect best practice misconfigurations and alert you in a friendly, easy-to-use portal that makes it really easy. And some of the themes that you'll keep hearing and seeing in the demo is that with System Center Advisor, this is meant to really make your lives easier. So we're looking at very actionable content, and we're continually looking at how customers are using it so that we can improve the rule set and make it valuable and not something that's going to send you chasing and troubleshooting issues that you didn't even know you had. So what are the benefits and features? First and foremost, it's to proactively avoid problems that we know of, right? So if we've spent a lot of time troubleshooting an issue, fixing it, we see a lot of calls. We see that a lot of customers are prone to misconfiguring a particular part of the product. That's a great rule. We don't want you to have to suffer from that. And so specifically those proactive types of notifications. A certificate's going to expire. Yeah, we have an event for that in the event log, but you know what? You'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't. we take that call a lot in CSS, where there's an outage simply because a certificate has expired. Well, with Advisor, there's a rule that will first warn you, and then it'll be an error depending on how many days are left, and we'll tell you exactly how you can resolve that and renew that cert. Reduce downtime. There's some features that we'll demo that will show how you can use this in a critical situation, when you have an outage or when you're troubleshooting an issue. And then resolving issues faster. It's another tool at your fingertips that has a whole lot of information about your environment, whether it's Link or Exchange or SharePoint, that you can use when troubleshooting. And so we're really, really excited about this. We're getting great feedback from customers that have been using it. This launched a year and a half ago or so, but for Link, we launched last November for Link 2010. And so it's fairly new, although we're seeing we're continuing to see more and more growth, which is great. So under the hood, how does this work? This is built on management pack technology, but the beauty of it is you don't need to have SCOM. We recommend SCOM. SCOM is your real-time monitoring solution or another, your other tool of choice. But this is built on management pack technology underneath. And so if you don't have System Center Operations Manager, there's a couple pieces that you need to install. There's an agent that goes on every machine that you want to monitor. So this is your Link servers, your Exchange servers, your SharePoint servers. And then there's a gateway that needs to be on an internet-facing box. So this enables you to monitor machines that are on a private network. You can install the agents on boxes that don't have any internet access, but you do need to put the gateway on a machine that can talk to the Azure service. And so periodically, this gateway talks to the hosted service, and that's where two things happen. One, the data that's gathered twice a day on the agents is pushed up to the cloud, analyzed so that the alerts that are generated can be displayed in your portal so that you can see exactly what the risk factors are in the environment and how you can resolve them. But then we're pushing out new rules on a monthly basis as well. We're collecting more and more configuration information so that we can write rules against them as well. And so that's pulled down from the cloud service and pushed out to all of the agents. And again, there's a web portal. We'll spend a good part of this presentation just walking through the web portal and showing you all the different features and exactly how Advisor is in action. And then that knowledge and that IP is what comes from our team in CSS based off of what we've seen. So what types of rules do we have? These are some of the examples. Unpatched. And we're not looking to be another WSUS or Windows update, but the idea is you're running Link. Maybe there's a SQL fixer. There's a .NET Framework one that we know it's not a critical update, but if you're not running it with Link, you're bound to have some problems. It's highly recommended. So this is a great mechanism to let you know about these. Misconfigured, I would say that's the bread and butter. It's, media bypass is not configured properly, or you've got an edge server that's got multiple NICs, and those IP settings are both on the same subnet, and you're bound to have some problems. So these misconfigurations are really what the bulk of the rules fall into. And then unsupported. We don't have these for Link specifically, but certainly some of the other products have these types of rules. So it's a way to alert you that maybe you're running on an unsupported virtualization platform for that particular product. Maybe your product is nearing the end of life, and so we want to make sure that you're aware of that. So it's an easy way to tell you. Now, this is not your real-time monitoring solution. So this is not running all the time. It's not running synthetic transactions. This is a best practice misconfiguration. Let's proactively identify issues before they cause an outage. So we definitely recommend SCOM or some other tool to monitor your real-time. Services are down. Yeah, we have a rule in System Center Advisor that tells you your Link services are down. This shouldn't be your first tool that alerts you. You should have other mechanisms that let you know about that. Now, this is the feature that gets almost the most positive feedback, and this is the historical context. We gather a ton of information from the environment, as you'll see. From Link, we run a good portion of the get commandlets to get all this configuration in one place. Well, Advisor runs, let's say, twice a day. That means that after it has a snapshot, it's got another snapshot 12 hours later. We can very easily tell you what changed. And we've all supported, depending on the role that we're in, we've all fixed problems, whether it's in the enterprise at work or whether it's with our parents' home computer. And what's the first question we ask when something worked and didn't work? What changed? this will help you answer what changed. And it's pretty powerful. We'll do a couple demos to show you how you can leverage this. But it's, that's really one of the features that takes us to the next level past a best practice analyzer or another tool that's similar. In addition to the fact that this is really running, once it's installed, runs a couple times a day, uploads the information, and so forth. Now, it's not all-inclusive. We have the concept of configuration points. So this is the data that we actually gather. Obviously, if it's not a configuration point that's in the product, well, if we don't capture it when we do discovery, we're not going to be able to tell you that it changed. Don't also expect full auditing. This isn't going to tell you who changed it or the exact minute that the setting changed, but it's a big step forward if you know that this particular setting changed within the past 12 hours or on this particular day, and we'll walk through the UI to see how that happens. So workloads, we went into which products are supported. These are the actual versions. And so from a historical, to give you some history behind this, SQL Server is where this all began. And so this began with SQL. It was a large effort at first on the SQL side, and eventually System Center certainly became the right place for this to land. Windows Hyper-V, Windows Server 2012 support shipped, I believe, in February or not too long ago. And then we have the whole 2010 suite of products for SharePoint, Exchange, and Lync. We're hard at work with the 2013. I can't speak for Exchange and SharePoint. I can say that for Lync, we are code complete. We're going through testing. I'd expect early fall release or sometime in that time frame. So we're pretty excited about that. And to get that added rule set and working not only in pure Lync 2013 environment, but also in a coexistent state. Now, the Lync workload is fairly interesting, and one of the reasons that we were last out of Exchange and SharePoint to really launch is what we wanted to do with the product. So, a year ago or so, a year and a half ago, we were really looking at this advisor thing and saying, is this something that we want for Lync? And I think we all agreed pretty quickly on the support side that this is something we see value in. We think that you guys as our customers and partners would see value in. But the way it was designed, it's the concept of an agent on a server. And that agent knows about that server and not necessarily the entire environment. So it has access to PowerShell. It can get information from pool level or site level settings. However, if you have an agent running on 3 front ends and you have an issue of pool misconfiguration and that alert would fire 3 times, you'd have 3 alerts. That's not the experience we want to give. This is meant to be easy. This is meant to not to cause you headaches and figure out why do I have triplicates of this. And so we did a lot of testing and looked at different approaches to actually do those pool and site level settings. And the way we're doing this under the hood is that every rule and every configuration object that's not attached just to a server, but that's more an organizational-wide setting, pool, site, and so forth, we do that on the active replica of the CMS master. And so you'll see when you have multiple servers and you look at the configuration information, on the CMS master, you'll see a whole lot of settings, and on the server, you'll only see things that are pertinent to that server. But this makes our workload pretty interesting because we're going beyond just what's on that physical box, and we're providing recommendations in a way that's easy to consume across your Lync environment. Now, SharePoint and Lync do need a service account, and so this is an account that's part of the RTC Universal Read-Only Admins, and you need to configure that to get the full discovery to work. Again, we want Advisor to be easy. We don't want this to be something that you're reading deployment guides for weeks on end. If you forget to do this, you had a little too much fun in New Orleans, you go home next week, on Monday you go and install Advisor, you forget, we have a rule that will fire and that will tell you, hey, guess what? We couldn't do full discovery because you didn't set this up. Click here. It'll take you to a step-by-step guide that will tell you how to configure it. So that's really a lot of the essence, is we want to make this as easy as possible. And then the rules are derived from top support issues. I've said it before, I'll say it again, but we spend a lot of time categorizing the cases that we get at all levels of support. Right? And we look at what are our top issues by product version, by online versus on-prem. What are customers calling about? What are we spending the most time on? What are the biggest pain points? How can we fix that? Ideally, we fix the product, but some types of issues. It's just it's maybe a content gap and so forth. So we look at those top issues, and that's really where the priority goes for the rules, because more people are prone to hitting them, obviously. So we're adding new rules every month. It's not a set number. It can be 2, it can be 6, probably not a whole lot more than 5 or 6, but every month. So we can be pretty agile when there's a new issue to push that out and make sure that all the advisor customers can take advantage of it. This is not an all-inclusive set of rules for Link, but I'll show you in the demo how you can see every single rule for every product that's out there and what's being checked. It's just very transparent. It's not a black box. And so certificates, for example, certificates expiring. We have a weak RSA certificate rule for an issue that we've seen a lot. Lots of mobility. We take a lot of mobility calls about Apple products not working, push notifications not working, being misconfigured. Cross-DB chaining. I don't know if you guys have hit this issue. This was our top issue for a long time, or one of our very top issues. Took a lot of calls on this. It's one of those where we kind of go against the main SQL recommendation, and for Link, DB chaining should be enabled and for our databases. And so if they're not, server will be fine until the next time the services start. Your services on the front end won't start. So that's a rule that we have. Edge, if you have multiple NICs, you have IP addresses on the same subnet, will alert you. And every one of these rules has content associated with it that was written for this rule that tells you exactly how to fix it and some of the reasons behind it. Link service is not started. It's there for completeness, but let's face it, I hope Advisor is not where you're first learning about your core services for Link or Exchange that they're not running. With 31 rules to date, but we're adding new ones every month. Then for 2013, we already have a bunch that are coded, and the discovery, then, like I said, we're going through testing. Now, deploying Advisor, and again, there's kind of the new stuff I'm going to get to, but if you're not running System Center Operations Manager, this is the approach that you would take, and it's really pretty straightforward. There's tons of documentation online around the requirements, around planning considerations, firewall information, and so forth. By default, the traffic's over port 80.443, but we tell you exactly what needs to be opened from the gateway. It's a matter of installing the agent, installing the gateway, and then there's some very minimal optional configuration you can do, and setting your run as account, and that's really as hard as it gets. And systemcenteradvisor.com, that's the website, and that's where you actually get started on it. And it does require a live ID, like we'll see in the demo to get into it. As far as topology recommendations, like I said, we can run an agent on a machine that's on the private network. And so with the concept of the agent being decoupled from the gateway, that's how we do it. So one agent per server that you want to monitor. And so you can make a call as to which. You don't have to put this on all your Link servers if you don't want to. You can have select ones or some workloads that we support. And then one gateway for X number of servers. It's really up to you. We've got, it's roughly 150 kilobytes of data that's pushed from every agent through the gateway a day, so that's one thing you want to consider. From a geographical location, you may want multiple gateways as well. Now, for the non-domain joined scenario, for your edge, for example, then you have to put the agent and the gateway on that machine. So you'll have to dual home, if you will. Every non-domain joined machine will have to be gateway and agent. So this is I guess, linkified version of the picture, but where we're putting the gateway and the agent on the edge server, our Link pools, we actually just have the agent that's talking to service. But let's dig into the demo, and I think just to show you what this all looks like and what the experience is. So systemcenteradvisor.com, this is the same place you would go to create a new account if you don't have one. If you do, use your live ID to log in, and we'll show a couple environments, but now some of you may be consultants and you may work with multiple customers out there. If you're going and deploying some of these workloads and some of these products and your customer wants to give you access so that you can keep an eye on things and see the alerts, you can absolutely do that with the same live ID or the same Microsoft account, as we now call it. And this is the screen that you would see. So in this case, I have 4 different environments that I have access to. And so when I log in, it's just a matter of picking the one, hitting sign in, and going to this first landing page. And so this is the landing page that you really start out on, which gives you a summary of the environment, where you have the number of servers with critical alerts, number of servers with warnings, and servers without any alerts. And so you get this nice little chart along with the 5 active alerts or most recent alerts. Also gives you, and this is I have a newer environment we'll do the second demo on, this one non-reporting servers, so you have an idea of which servers have reported and sent information recently. You also get an idea of the number of configuration changes and the number of rules that are in the system. So as we add new rules every month, you can see that number go up. Now, probably the first place that you would go is this Alerts tab, and this is where you can see them sorted by default, critical and warnings. But you can certainly look at this by server. You could look at by class, and that's where you're going to see a lot of the link information. So for example, here we have a rule that's fired on the link media configuration that says media bypass is misconfigured. The alert description will give you a summary of the issue and how to fix it, but it's not the complete picture. We have a link to a knowledge base article for each and every rule that we have. And so you can click on here, and you can also see information that's gathered. We have some rules that tell you, you know what? We recommend that you apply a particular hotfix and get your version up to version 1.2.3. Well, we'll not only tell you that, but in the rule, in this little additional information box, we'll tell you you're currently running version 1.2.1. So you know exactly what the gap is, what you're running. You don't need to go figure that out. Again, we want to make it easy for you. This is to make your lives easier. Now, we have these buttons on alerts useful, alerts not useful. We also have the ability to ignore alerts. You may say, you know what, I don't agree with this rule. Or maybe, yes, I know that this isn't a configuration per Microsoft best practice, but there's a reason why it's like this in my environment. You can ignore it, and from there you can select whether you just want to ignore this specific alert, this alert anytime on the server, or this alert anytime in my environment. We look at this. We look at the feedback, the smiley or the frown, and also whether you ignore alerts. We look at this closely. We meet with and we look at this BI on a monthly basis, and the idea is, you know what? If the majority of customers are ignoring a particular rule, maybe we need to go back to the drawing board on that rule. Maybe it's not built quite correctly. Maybe it's confusing. Maybe there's a reason for it, and we'll go disable rules. It's about quality rules, not the number of rules. And so we're very cognizant of that. So I certainly encourage you to send feedback if this is as you use this tool, and to ignore alerts that are not useful to you. Now, what if you ignored an alert that you didn't mean to ignore? Well, that's where Manage Alert Rules comes in, and you could see all of the ones that we've decided to. You can see the scope, whether you're ignoring it at the server or global level, for example, and you can simply say stop ignoring, and that rule will start firing again if the condition is detected. The other piece that I hit on a little bit earlier is we want to be very transparent about what we're checking. This isn't a black box, and so available rule alerts will show all of the rules across all of the different products that we have. And so, for example, if you look at link server with these 16 items under the link server class specifically, you can see all of these rules, and they're all linking to that same knowledge base article that when the rule fires, we present to you. So it's just clicking this. You can very quickly see, some of you that really want to be in complete control, I suppose you could go here proactively without having to go to ignore an alert once it fires and actually uncheck the ones you don't want to see. Don't know that that's certainly necessary, but it's an option that you have. So you can certainly see everything that we're putting out there. Now, when an issue, let's say you read this alert, you read the media configuration, media bypass, you're like, you know what? Yes, that's misconfigured. We are meant to use media bypass. I'm going to go read the article, and I'm going to take care of the issue. The next time Advisor runs, it'll automatically close that rule. So that alert will just go away, auto-close. It doesn't need any manual intervention from you. However, if you want to close it, you certainly have that option, and you can hit close, and that will immediately disappear. Now, we talked about configuration information. And so every server in the Advisor environment that has an agent installed, we get a lot of info, depending on the server role. In this case, the con GW, that's not a link server. It's just a Windows server, so we can just see the Windows information that's gathered, kernel version, physical memory, and so forth. But if we switch to, say, my link standard edition pool, you can see the vast amount of information for link that we gather. And so this can be fairly useful depending on your workflow and what you're troubleshooting. You could certainly go run that get commandlet, but this is a lot of what this is doing. We're getting information through PowerShell, we're getting information AD, we're getting information that's via WMI and pulling it together. Now, a lot of these will look a lot like a get commandlet, and that's exactly what it is. It's, we're running that commandlet, we're populating the information here, but some of them are kind of a hodgepodge of commandlets, if you will, so we've created our own classes. And one example is the voice configuration, and that's where there's not a get CS voice configuration, but there's things that are useful that we've been asked that customers want to see, that we think you want to see in some cases, like the number of enterprise voice-enabled users, perhaps, or the number of voice routes, or the number of normalization rules. It's all there. It's at your fingertips. And we're continuing to not only add rules, but we're adding configuration points as well as we find new issues and we think that there's more data that's valuable for you to have here. So you can certainly go. So I'm here on the Link SE, which is a CMS master in this environment. And you can see this long list of information. On a Link server that's not the active replica, for example, my Edge, you'll notice that list is a lot smaller. And in this case, we only see the Link CS server classes and information. And so this is the logic that we use to be able to not have those duplicate alerts across the environment. Now, we talked about change history, and so you can click change history here, or you can keep going down the line. And this is what it looks like. I've got a more Link example we'll do when we go to SCOM. But let's say I want to see when NTOS kernel changed, and notice how fast that is. That's really instant results. But you can clearly see the change date. You can see the previous value and the updated value. Really, really useful when troubleshooting issues. And this may not give you 100% root cause, depending on what it is. In some cases it might, but it's certainly a step in the right direction if you see that something changed that's related to the problem that you're troubleshooting. Now this is looking, you will see, I'm on con GW, let me go to Link SC. You'll see things that are date timestamps, and that's by design, right? So we have things that we like run time of day, the last time that something ran, yeah, that value changed. So to advisor, it doesn't know that that's not a Boolean value, for example, and it's just a timestamp. That's fine. It's not. It's in the list, but it's certainly something that you'll see. From here, from the website, is also where you can add setup and download. Advisor set up the bits for the gateway for the agent to deploy to the environment, certificate that you import, and links to all of the documentation. So this is right here in the console itself. This is also where you can remove a server. So if you don't want to monitor a server for whatever reason, you can simply hit remove from there. And then finally, on this last, the little person icon here, this is where you're able to add users. And so you have two roles, fairly basic. You have administrator or you have user that can't change configuration, but they can view alerts. And so this is a great scenario for those of you that are out there doing installs for customers and you want to have, and you're doing potentially support for your variety of organizations. The customer can add your live ID if they so choose and they agree to do that. And you can log in from anywhere and just hit the portal and see the information. So it's just a matter of clicking add user. And then finally on the screen, hope you don't have to close your account, but if for whatever reason you want to close your account, you can absolutely do so. It's not a call to Microsoft or anything like that. You hit close account. As far as email alerts, right now it's not configurable, but that's something that you do get on a weekly basis. You get a summary of all of the alerts in the environment in your email as well. So let's say you're not going to Advisor every day. You don't want to go to the website, you do get that email in your inbox that gives you that summary of what's going on.
So you said it's not configurable, so that's whatever
it's live ID, and you can't. So what I meant by non-configurable as well is you're not going to get, as soon as an alert is fired, you're not going to get that email. You'll get it at the end of the week. You'll get a summary for the entire environment. As of today. All right. So questions about that thus far? This might be a logical place, and if you guys want to ask questions, I can either repeat them or you can go to the mics, and if not, we'll go to the attached service, which is brand new. No? Okay. So Advisor's been, I demoed this. This is great. It's still a little bit of overhead if you're in a large enterprise to go put the agent on a lot of different servers, and really you have SCOM for your real time. You have Advisor for this best practice type configuration. As of about a month ago or 2 months ago, the System Center team, 2 months ago, released a connector for SCOM that lets you run Advisor as an attached service. So System Center Operations Manager can be your one-stop shop, not only to deploy and push out the agents to the servers that you want to manage, but also to see the alerts. And so that's certainly really cool. That's something that we've been hearing a lot from enterprises that are looking at Advisor or using Advisor today. Really easy to enable. No more manual certificate. You don't have to go and download the agent and install it all over the place. You can view Advisor alerts in that Ops Manager console like I talked about, and then that gives you the ability to take advantage of ticket notification and so forth and all the SCOM capability that's out there. And so we'll do a quick demo of that, but just to show you how this works in a more visual way. From the Ops Manager console, once you install this connector, and this connector, you first need update rollup 2 for System Center 2012 R2, SP1 RU2, in order to install it. And you'll need to apply this update to the Ops console, the management servers, and the agents. From there, in the Ops console, you'll see an option to enable and sign up for Advisor. You can do that. That management group is registered with your Advisor account. You opt in agents, and so what I mean by that is you go and you select the servers in your environment that you want to monitor with System Center Advisor. Management servers will actually download the certificate, the management pack behind the scenes. There's no manual action from you. The agents at that point talk to the management server and download that management pack from it. The agents, when the health service starts, and then every 12 hours, will actually run that discovery, the same thing that we would have done in the first scenario. And they take that CAP file, and instead of sending them to the gateway, now they're sending them to the management server, which in turn uploads those CAP files to the Advisor service. At that point, it's business as usual, I guess, like the old Advisor, where the Advisor service will process the CAP files, generate the alerts, and display them in the portal for you, and sync everything up amongst the different management servers. So I want to just real quick show you what that looks like. So information, we'll talk a little bit about data privacy in a second. So information is clear text and locally. So the question is everything in the cloud, can you do it locally? We do require the cloud, but everything is clear text. You can choose how long you archive it so you can see exactly what's being uploaded. But there's no way to set up your own kind of Advisor server on premise, right? You do have to talk to the cloud and to get the rules and information. Yep. So here in my Ops Manager console, if you scroll down after installing the connector, you'll notice a new System Center Advisor connection and a System Advisor managed options. And this is where you get started. And so it's already installed here. So I see Reconfigure. If this is the first time, you would see Configure Advisor. And it walks you through just creating the account, giving a name to your Advisor organization. And from there, it's simply about going to the Advisor Manage and adding a computer. And this is where you add the machine and the environment that you want to manage, and everything else happens under the hood. So you can do it all from your Ops Manager console. From an alert perspective, you'll now see a new folder here for System Center Advisor, and you'll see the same alerts that you would see in the website portal right here for System Center Advisor. You have the ability to manage alert rules. You can ignore alerts directly from here, and these are also embedded in the overall top-level bucket in SCOM for active alerts. And so you're able to see all the errors, all the and all the warnings that are coming both from SCOM itself and Advisor all in one place. So you now have one place to go for everything that's real-time monitoring and best practice configuration. When you look at one of these rules, so go back here. It says the rules, and if you go back to the server, if you want to see the configuration information, there's a link for view configuration information. So that's not something that you can see in Ops Manager today, but you can actually just click it. It will take you to the website, and you can get that same experience that you got in the past and taking advantage of things like that historical context. So I'll log in here just to show you an environment. It's uploading information. And here we go. And let's say I'm having a problem with Quaz, or I think Quaz got disabled. I don't know when, what exactly happened. Type QoS in the search, and look at that. I can see that enable QoS on media configuration was updated from false to true. In this case, it was enabled on this date. So again, really fast search and definitely useful when troubleshooting issues. If you want to see the current snapshot, you can do that as well, and here's the whole discovery that occurred. So all that same web experience, and the link is directly from SCOM. So it's a preview today, the connector, but it is a download that's available. You can go run, deploy, run it today. It will be part of the R2 release for System Center 2012. If you don't purchase and don't have R2, that's when you'll still be able to use 2012 SP1, the R1 version. You can just download the connector there. It'll be an updated version that's no longer labeled preview. It'll be the RTM version of the connector that'll be available at that time. All right? Cool. So a few things around global availability. English only today, however, it's available in a whole bunch of markets, just not localized, so you'll see all the alerts and so forth in English. Now, licensing. I don't know how many of you know this, but this was a change recently. We announced it for Link at the Link conference, but Advisor is free. There is no catch. So when we started this a year and a half ago, this was tied to software assurance as a benefit for SA. It was confusing. Maybe you had SA for some products, you didn't have SA for the other products. That all changed in end of January, February timeframe, and it is absolutely free. There's no more trial because you don't need a trial. You can just go run it, and if for some reason you don't like it, you can opt out and close the account. But no catch. So hopefully that's good news. Hopefully this gives you incentive to give it a try because there's a lot of IP that we're really pushing to this service and making available. From a privacy, of course, just like any other cloud service, we have our whole privacy statement online. You can read it. I'm not going to read everything here. It talks about how information is archived on premise, how it's plain text, how you can actually view the information. You can see exactly what's going up to the service. You can configure that and store information for more than 5 days on premise. And then, of course, we will not use this to verify licensing or the sales validation. So everyone's licenses are up to date, I know, but it's a question we've gotten for sure. We won't use this for that. So. The last piece here around Advisor is around what's the overhead on the server. And this is another thing that's really, really important. This needs to be low overhead. This is not meant to be something that you need to resize your servers for because you want to have Advisor. And so low CPU overhead, low memory footprint for Advisor. And we look at this closely, especially when we're creating new rules, developing rules, testing rules. We may have a good rule, but that's putting too much CPU. It's just too resource intensive for what we need to do to detect the condition. Well, at that point, that's not a good Advisor rule, and we need to find another mechanism to get it out there. But this is meant to be really, really low impact. Obviously, the standard recommendation of throw it on some test servers, give it a shot, see exactly what the impact in the environment is. But it's certainly low overhead. So to sum it up, if I haven't convinced you yet, why try it? Proactively identify issues in your environment before they cause an outage. Use us to your benefit, CSS. We see the whole myriad of customer issues. We create rules so that you don't have to suffer. We'll troubleshoot it. We'll spend a lot of time with that first person who's had it, but we don't want everyone to go through that pain, to have to call us or to have to do that troubleshooting. Answer the what changed question. I love this feature, super useful. That's another great reason. Easy to do. You can give other people, whoever you're comfortable with, or your customers can give you if you're a partner or consultant, access. It's a great way to have that visibility and keep an eye on the health of the environment. And then finally, it's very, very easy to get started with this. It's not a complex deployment. There's plenty of step-by-step guides on the web that will tell you exactly how to get started, whether you're using it as a SCOM attached service or whether you're just using it without SCOM, like we talked about in the first place. Oh yeah, and it's free. All right, I want to shift gears, but before that, are there questions about System Center Advisor?
That geography?
Yeah.
Sorry, by that. Was that like servers in those geographies are supported, or I didn't quite?
That is, yes. So, Laura.
Okay.
So let me repeat that because it's being recorded. So the question was around the geographies and really clearing that up. So English only, like we said, but the geographies are more about support. And so if you fall outside of there, we may not be able to help you if you have a problem with System Center Advisor.
Yeah, but if the servers are in a country not in this list, we can still...
It's a good question. We can follow up. Ultimately, I think we would help you coming from the support side. And let me also add something that I didn't mention. This is supported. We have a team that supports this service. You can open a ticket for problems with System Center Advisor. It's easy to set up. Let's say you're hitting an issue. We'll help you. If you have a server in another.
Right. I don't see the bill.
Fair enough. We can follow up for sure offline. I can give you my card afterwards. And we can, so. Any other questions? Do you mind? You're right next to a mic. Do you mind going up there? Oh, it's on now.
Well, just one quick question. Just to clarify what you talked about integrating it with SCOM. If you have a SCOM 2012 environment today, there's nothing else you need to do to install it. It's just you put it on the management server. You're ready to go.
You need, so if you have SCOM 2012 today, you need SP1 update rollup 2.
R2, okay.
3. Sorry, update rollup 3. And then you need, once you've done that,
Is
then you
3
download the
publicly available?
Yeah, it's publicly available. This is all publicly available. And then you download the connector, which is a separate download, install that. Then you're good to go.
Oh, okay, good.
And just to repeat from what Laura said for the recording, in R2 of System Center 2012, in the box, there's nothing else that you need to install. It will just be ready to go. Anything else? All right. So automated diagnostics. This is something that we started, I would say, about 4 years ago in CTS. And CTS being commercial technical support, so the enterprise arm of CSS that does both frontline and escalation support. I can tell you from having spent, many, many years as an EE, spending my days in source code, debuggers, there was nothing more satisfying than solving that bug for the very first time, right? Having a customer issue, debugging all day, all night, finding the bug, coding a fix, getting a hot fix out to the customer, that was really, really satisfying. That wasn't always the case. Sometimes I spent hours debugging an issue. to find out that someone else had already found it. It was just not very discoverable. The conditions were a little bit different. That's not, there's no satisfaction. I feel like complete waste of time, right? And so our ultimate vision is to never have to troubleshoot the same issue twice. Now, this is still a few years in, somewhat in its infancy. I'm going to show you some tools. They're not perfect, but we're at a point where they are providing quite a bit of value. We're using them extensively internally. We're now making them available to customers. And I really want to start sharing where we're at with these automated diagnostics. And so the premise for this, and I'll just build the slide here, but every issue that we solve has a pattern associated with it, almost every issue. And link is kind of interesting because we're talking about real-time communication, but it could be as simple as an event ID with a particular error code in the description. It could be a call stack in a memory dump, or something more complex in a memory dump, right? Critical section we're waiting on a particular lock. It could be a myriad of things. It could be UCC API log that has a particular MS diagnostics code. It could be that plus some other condition. The list goes on, but there's usually some pattern out there that identifies a root cause. And so the idea with our automated diagnostics is let's take that pattern, let's store it in a database, and let's build capability that automatically looks at the data and tells you what the solution is with certainty, right? You have this pattern, this is in your data, in the data, you are hitting this issue. And so we've worked closely with Microsoft Research and a lot of other teams to develop that capability. And so we have a system that internally we call UDE, Unified Diagnostics Ecosystem. That's not something you'll see really on the outside. But the idea is that all the files that are uploaded to us are automatically analyzed so that we can really get a leg up and have an idea of, hey, is this a known issue? What are the next steps? Or maybe it's not black and white, but at least it's, hey, there's this error. This is what it could be. Here's where you could start troubleshooting. And so we're continuing to add more and more rules and refine this. But we're at a point where some of these are now available publicly on the web for free as well. Now that's the automated analysis piece that's at the bottom. The other piece is the data collection. Now, I don't know how many of you call CSS or how often. You've probably seen an automated email that said, hey, go run this SDP, Scripted Diagnostics Platform package. And the idea behind that is, based on the scenario, we're always gathering the same information. And same for you. As you're troubleshooting, you're going to a link client, you're always going to get the UC API log, you might get the event logs, there's certain registry information that you want to get client versions. Let's make that easy. Let's build upon a feature that's in Windows Vista and above, the MSDT, Microsoft Support Diagnostics Toolkit, and use that to automatically grab all the necessary information, put it in a cab file, so that you can either upload it to Microsoft very easily in an automated way, or maybe you want to use it as an administrator to just grab that information from the client or from a server, extract the cab, and have everything at your fingertips. And so we've been putting a lot of investment into this. It's really grown in the past 6 to 8 months. And about a year ago, we made this available via a portal called Fix-It Center Pro. And we'll pull up the portal. The message I don't want you to come out of here saying, oh, Fix-It Center Pro is here. This is the portal. Something that's at your fingertips. You can use it today. I expect this to change. What I demo today may not be the same in 6 months, but the ultimate vision and the tools that we're making available are, and they are here to stay. And so you're going to see these types of data analysis and data collection mechanisms more integrated into TechNet and make it more part of your workflow when you're troubleshooting rather than this separate portal, which isn't the most beautiful thing in the world. But it's something that we're absolutely passionate about and really investing a lot of resources in. And so I think this is a good tool to demo and kind of showcase. And so, please make a correction. Okay. So I'll repeat that again for the recording. That is what you need if you're running System Center Operations Manager 2012 SP1. You need update rollup 2, which is publicly available and on the web. Update rollup 2. All right. Thank you, Laura. All right, so Fix-It Center Pro, you can find it easily on Bing. It's also in the deck. I think all the materials with link. There's not a pretty URL. Hopefully it logs in successfully here. I'll use another account here. It does require authentication. You don't need to set up anything. This is just to protect your results. So if you have diagnostic results for data that you're uploaded, you don't want anyone to see it. We want to be able to know who you are. This worked right before. Fantastic. We'll just go to the appendix. Well, apologies for that. So let's go through the slides. So when you land on this page, you can create a new analysis session at the very top here. That's where you want to start. And what this does is it enables you to download these SDP packages. So it's the same thing that you get when you call support. We send you an automated link to go download something. Now you can go run these yourselves without having to open a support ticket. Right? So it's something that you can take advantage out of the box. And you can see this screenshot shows the link ones. There's many more. So there's Exchange ones, and there's Hyper-V ones, and there's performance ones. And these will collect different pieces of data depending on the particular scenario. Now, these also have rules built into it. And so many times, and this is really where I'm trying to push our team to go, is build the rules that this is an issue. If you're running the client one and there's a particular rule that fires, that if this is misconfigured, you will not be able to sign in and authenticate. That needs to be in the package itself. And so you don't have to upload any data to us. You just get a pop-up in the SDP package that tells you exactly how to fix it and what was detected with content. So memory dumps. How many of you debug and know how to load symbols? Okay, 2 people. For the rest of you, wouldn't it be nice if you could upload a memory dump, or one gets gathered if there was one on the machine in the past 30 days, and we tell you if this is a known issue? This will do that. So there's a memory dump collector one. It's not in this screenshot, but it is there, and that gives you a good idea. We want you to call us when it's an unknown issue, and we can really provide our deep expertise. If it's a known issue, we don't want you to hit the issue in the first place, but if you hit the issue, we want you to as quickly as possible, understand how to fix it, take care of it, move on. We don't want you to have to get on the phone and call us. And that's really what's behind all this automated diagnostics. You go through this wizard, you create an analysis session. The tool runs. There's a light mode usually that gathers a little bit less data. It doesn't get in, like the system info, which takes 2-3 minutes to generate and so forth. So there's a full mode, which will take a little bit longer to run, and then there's the light mode. It'll tell you exactly what it's doing every step of the way. At the end, I don't have a screenshot of that, but at the end you have 3 options. If you could say my problem was fixed, and that means the package itself said, hey, you hit this issue, here's a link to content, go fix it. You fixed it, you click that, you're done. There could be there's one that says, hey, I want to review the data before I send this to Microsoft. You can see all the data. If there's a particular file that you don't want to send to the service for whatever reason, you can uncheck that, upload the rest. And the final option is upload to Microsoft. And the reason there's that upload is some of the rules and some of the processing is a lot more resource intensive, and there's things that we just simply can't do in this little application, a lot of the dump analysis and so forth. And so it uploads it to our environment, and this is the same one that our engineers use, the UDE, Unified Diagnostics Ecosystem that I talked about. And it will take maybe 40 minutes to really produce results. But once you have results, it will provide them just like it's on the screen here. And it's either an error or a warning, and it'll tell you every single rule has a link to public content on how to take care and how to resolve the issue. All right, questions about our journey to automated diagnostics? All right. we got some time. We have about 20 minutes left, a little bit early, but we certainly, if there's questions on any of this, happy to field them. Just a couple housekeeping pieces. Laura here, who is the program manager for System Center Advisor, she owns the entire service. My team owns the rules. She owns the service. She delivered a session on Monday on what's new in 2012 SP1. Obviously, Monday passed, but that's all recorded, so I'd encourage you to watch that. And then if you have more questions, you don't think about them tonight, you're just looking to get out of here, I'll be at the booth from 1 to 3 tomorrow afternoon, so stop by. We can talk about this in more detail or do other demos or anything about support or about Link. Come on by. We've got a fully staffed booth. And then resources slide that you've probably seen. And then finally, please eval the sessions. If you didn't like it, we want to know if this is how we can make the content useful next year. Do you like this type of information? What do you want to see more of? So with that, any questions? Yes, I see one. Do you mind going to the mic?
That Fix-It Center Pro is all done without opening an actual support case?
It's all done without a support case. You can go to it today, log in with your live ID, and use it.
Okay, thanks.
And let me add, before we go to the next question, let me add real quick. If you do need to open a support case, there's a button there that will allow you to do so, and that data will be uploaded so that you don't have to regather data and re-upload to the engineer.
I think that feature exists also in Advisor itself, does it not? Right, there's a link to actually open a case.
Yes, in Advisor there's a link. There's really two things you'll see in Advisor. There's one that you can open a case based on an alert. So if the alert didn't fix your problem, you can open a case, and that if it's a Link alert, it'll come to the Link team. There's also a way to open a case on Advisor itself if you're having problems setting it up.
Way back to the Advisor console there, is there any reporting or any way of kind of looking at kind of a large view as all your servers and kind of their status and things like that, rather than kind of one server at a time?
So that console will show you your entire environment. You can sort by server, for example. There's not let's see, you have probably not to the level that you're asking for.
Okay.
I can pull it back up. I don't know if you have more to add, but yeah. Now, I think the extent is sorting by, hey, all the errors, all the warnings. Now, you don't have to switch the context of the server. I did that for the configuration information. If you're just in the alerts, that will show you for everything in the environment.
Oh, okay.
So that's where you could just sort by however you want. Anything else?
Back to my earlier question that I asked about with the integration with Advisor and with SCCM and what data gets uploaded.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase my question on that. My question should have been, when that data gets uploaded, is any of that data being retained within Operations Manager? Is it going into the database, then going over to the data warehouse, or is that just a pass through those CAB files and stuff, that information up to Advisor? Okay. Okay.
So to repeat Laura's answer is yes, it is stored in the data warehouse. Up 5 days by default. Documentation online tells you how to increase that time if you so choose.
Thank you.
All right. Well, enjoy the evening in New Orleans. Thanks.